What do you hear? What do you say? This is VERTiiGO bringing you another video. Now, I don't do many of these update videos. In fact, it's been a long time since I've done one. But this one was just, this change, this addition to the game is so big that I had to talk about it. And of course, as you can see already, they're adding a goddamn tank to Rust. But before you start freaking out, no, you cannot drive the tank. This tank is completely AI controlled. As for other details, I was lucky enough to have a sit down with the developer himself, Helk. I got to ask him some questions about the tank to get a better idea of how it exactly is going to work and what the plans are for the future. So let me just go through some of the stuff that I got to learn from Helk himself. Now, the first incarnation of the tank is going to spawn at the launch site, and it's basically just going to patrol around the launch site and protect it, because from Helk's own mouth, he said, I quote, "The loot inside of the launch site is way too good to be undefended." So basically, this tank is going to be the bodyguard to the juicy loot inside the launch site. But that doesn't mean the tank hasn't got its own loot, because it definitely does. I can confirm that the tank will be destructible, but only from explosives. That means using guns against this tank is not going to be viable. You're going to have to use rocket launchers and satchel charges, and perhaps even C4 to destroy it. So from what I can gather from all that information, unlike the helicopter where the helicopter just arrives, wreaks havoc and leaves, this tank is going to be a constant threat until it's destroyed, and then there's a cooldown timer. So it's not really a map event, it's more of a constant thing. Now, the loot that it drops isn't clear, but Helk did tell me that it's going to have a similar system to the helicopter in terms of the debris system, which means flames, which means there's going to be a timer. You have to wait it out and wait for the loot to actually be accessible. But as for what's inside the tank, we don't yet know. One other thing I can confirm is, and it's pretty bloody obvious, honestly, but this is going to be a major challenge, very comparable, yet again, to the attack helicopter. Now, this tank has guns all over it. There's guns on the sides, there's guns on the rear, there's guns on the front. So this thing's going to shoot you from all different angles. And according to Helk, it's going to use 5.56 ammo. Now, that's all the information that's confirmed to be in the first incarnation of the tank. Now, the future goals for the tank, again, aren't too clear, but I've got a vague idea of what they're planning. Now, keep in mind, this is not confirmed, and it's also subject to change, but the ultimate goal for the tank is to have it roam around the map. So they eventually don't want it to just be a Radtown thing, but instead, they want it to roam all the roads on the map, which would be extremely interesting. Another thing is, I mentioned before that the tank is covered with guns. It's got guns on the back, the sides, the front. Now, they also want those guns to be destructible. So eventually they want you to be able to use rifles to shoot those guns, to destroy them, to give you a better chance of destroying the tank. Another thing that this tank doesn't do, it's not going to follow you. It's not going to follow you around. If you aggro it and run away, it shouldn't follow you away from the Radtown. But eventually, that could be a thing. Now, that's all the information I got for you about the tank, guys. I'd love to know what you think, because this is a huge change. And for me personally, I always like seeing more things added to the game, more PvE, more things to do other than just PvP is always a bonus. But let me know what you think. Do you think this is a good change? Are you excited for the tank? Let me know down below. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you always.